Good evening, guys. Sorry for the lack of uploads. Busy, motorsport, work, playing house. Today we are going to be installing a Temu £6 stereo, if I can get hold of it, in the car today. Yes, I'm aware that the surround is black. I did ask for silver, as I did state in a previous video, but hey ho, we've got to work with what we've got. So I've already put the stereo in the fascia. It's pretty simple to do. You'll see the tabs in the cage there. You just bend them round like so, and that should hold the stereo in place. So when swapping an aftermarket stereo into a Vauxhall, there's a couple of things you have to do. Unfortunately, you don't get power direct from the loom like you would say from the standard unit. So what you have to do is you have to run a power lead, which normally comes built into the aftermarket harness adapter, which is here, to a source of power. So I like to use an ignition live, as they call it. You can use a constant live, but that will drain your battery. So I use, as I said, just an ignition live, and I normally go from the cigarette lighter in these. So I'll show you the first step first, which is the standard cage has to come out from where the original Vauxhall stereo went. As you can see, I've had a little bit of a go with this with a if I can find it. I did bring one out with me, I'm sure I did. No, I didn't. I've lost my flat bladed screwdriver somewhere, so let me go and hunt that down, and then I'll show you the next step after this. This horrible thing is out. It basically had a T15 torque screw at the back, which I forgot about. I've just been pulling it for like 60 seconds, puzzling myself, why the hell is this thing not coming loose, and then looked in and to find that. Only thing I will say is when you're pulling this out, just watch you don't snag any of the wires on this, because it is pretty sharp, to be honest with you. I mean, luckily I haven't cut myself this time, but I remember on the last time I did have quite a nasty injury from it. So yeah, I'll show you the next step after this, and then we'll start hopefully getting some music in a minute. So the next thing we have to do, excuse me, is bring our attention to this wiring loom here. So like I said before, we need to run a power source from the cigarette lighter to the actual stereo itself. Now what I do is first I feed the cable down the back and down, and you can actually get your hand behind here and kind of wiggle it through there. You can use a wire coat hanger if you want to lead it through. You can use a piece of fishing wire, string, whatever, but I tend to just dangle it through. Fingers in the way, sorry. Dangle it through, pull it through, and then we've just got to work out how, oops, sorry, low power mode, how we are going to tap into the cigarette lighter, and then that should be our power source, and then the stereo literally is plug and play. So I will get back to you when I've done that. Okay guys, so the cable is routed through now. How I do it is I feed it down the back there, obviously, drop it down through the back of the centre console on the dashboard there. I release, there's a T15 screw in here. If you see that hole there, there's a T15 screw, and I also, what they call the boomerang, which is like a trim piece that the Corsa C boys seem to love from these Tigras. Bring that out, and that just gives you enough room then to poke the cable through. I've done it under there just and referenced it just so you can see the routing that I go. And then, as you can see, I've brought it through, and now we'll connect it up to the cigarette lighter. Just a disclaimer, you are supposed to run a fuse on these, but unfortunately the one I ordered was wrong. So for now, I'm just going to connect it up to show you, and then immediately disconnect it, so it avoids any like shorts or potential fire risks. But join me back in a minute, and I'll show you exactly how I connect it up. Okay guys, so now for the most important part. Where we're going to be tapping into the power is from the actual cigarette lighter connection itself. Now I believe it's the black one. Obviously I will double check this with a multimeter shortly, and don't go just cutting cables willy-nilly. What I like to use to connect everything up, excuse me, is these three-way guillotine connectors. They're absolutely amazing. Basically, put your wire in, your wire that you're connecting up, put them in, squish, done, easy. You can wrap it up in a bit of electrical tape, as I prefer to do then, just to keep it insulated. And like I said before, I will be putting a fuse in this at a later date. I just haven't got one, and I did want to get a video out for you guys because I have had a few people message me to say, like, why have you not uploaded again? Well, fortunately, life gets in the way, doesn't it? Again, if you know, you know. So I'll get this all set up, and then we'll start plugging in the stereo correctly, and hopefully we have some power to it. So see you shortly. Okay guys, so that is now in. So like I said before, your brown wire, your black wire, sorry, is your power, or at least it was for me. May differ on your car, I'm not too sure. And obviously the red one is the one that I've linked into this from the actual stereo itself. Then all you do is feed them in, glop it down with a set of wire cutters or side cutters. I use these because they've got a lot of good clamping force. Make sure it is completely squashed in, and then next part will be up the top, so I'll show you that now, and then we'll actually plug this in and see if it works. Hello guys, so now we're going to connect the stereo up. So with the Vauxhalls, as I've shown you before, it's just a simple latch mechanism. For the aerial, if I can find where I put it, there it is, you do have to get an adapter for these because they won't just plug into a standard ISO that comes on these factory stereos or these cheap knockoff temu ones that I've been buying. So you'll actually need an adapter, which is this. Obviously this has got a blue wire on the end, which I think is for like a remote antenna or something like that, but I'll just be cutting that off because we've got no need for that. So it's literally, this part plugs into the car's loom, and that end part there, you can see it, plugs into the back of the stereo, and then these, it's literally, that plugs into these two here. You've got one for your speakers, and there was another one somewhere, and that one's for your power. Plug it all in and then just push the stereo in. Done. So once I've done that, I'll show you what next. Okay guys, so Spaghetti Junction, as I'm calling it now, is all plugged in. The only thing I've got left to do now is obviously plug in the cigarette lighter to the power source that we've just put in, and then hopefully it should come on. Unfortunately, we're not going to get any sound today because I'm still waiting on some wire, some speaker wire to come off temu, believe it or not, for the speakers to adapt them on. I suppose I could connect to these, but I got a bit lazy when I was taking the speakers out of this one to put in Lynn's Tigra and just cut them because I knew that the standard ones would never be going back in anyway. So I'll plug this in and we'll see if it's yay or nay. Idiot moment. I've just realised that I plugged two wiring looms into the back of this stereo, and obviously if you look, you've got a power to a power there. How is that going to connect? So I've genuinely not tried this stereo yet, so I've just plugged it in. Plugged it in, sorry. I'm just going to rest it on there for now. Hopefully nothing short, and that's upside down, you idiot. This is what doing 10 hour days does to you guys. Get your beauty sleep because you need it. So yeah, I'll just hook that on there. So this is genuinely the first time I've turned this on. So ignition in 3, 2, 1. And it's alive. So that's good. So looks like we've got everything. So let's see what happens if we can turn it on. It's doing something, isn't it? So I mean, I'm happy with that so far. At least we've got a semi-working stereo now. If I press power, there we go. It's coming on, saying hi. So I'm assuming. Oh, I forgot the tweeters are plugged in, so we will get some form of sound. So obviously it's a cheap Bluetooth stereo. It's not going to be like the best thing ever, is it? But the main thing is we've got power now. Obviously, like I say, I will run an inline fuse when it comes this week. I've got that from eBay because at least I know it's a reputable seller that I normally use. Yeah, so next video will be installing the speakers, getting the door cards back on, and then we need to get the windscreen replaced for the MOT, and hopefully she should be ready to go. So thanks a lot guys for watching along. I know it was a bit bitty, a bit sporadic, and a bit me being an idiot as usual. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how you wire up a stereo in this era of Vauxhall. Alright guys, have a good one, speak soon. Just my usual random clip to end the video. Does anybody else have absolute delight and pleasure in doing this? Peeling the plastic film off a brand new electrical item, or a new phone screen, or, you know, it's just satisfying, isn't it? Okay guys, have a good one, see ya.